According to ReSound, the biggest challenge for AI hearing aids isn't only removing background noise, it's stopping the wrong voice from becoming the clearest one. And they feel that their Sensia hearing aids know the difference between what you want to hear and what you don't. So let me paint a picture. You're sat in a restaurant with friends with one of them speaking directly in front of you. And then a louder group walks past and disaster strikes. Your hearing aids start focusing on them instead of your friend. This is the very problem that ReSound claims to have addressed with their brand new technology. So today I will share what ReSound are claiming Sensia does differently to other AI systems out there on the market. I'll share the 3 technologies working in tandem that support this, and I'll also share who should seriously consider Sensia for their next hearing aid. And while I'm at that, I'll also follow up by some of the important limitations that I've found hidden in the small print. For context, I'm Matthew Alsop and I run the largest independent hearing clinic in London, working with every major hearing aid manufacturer. And I managed to get early exposure to this brand new technology in order to share everything that ReSound have confirmed so far with you, my glorious YouTube community. So let's get to it. There is no question that artificial intelligence has rapidly improved how hearing aids manage in background noise. But even a powerful AI system could make listening worse if it makes the wrong voice more prominent. And whilst every hearing aid manufacturer is currently claiming to have the best tech for speech understanding in noise, ReSound claim that the intelligence in AI isn't quite intelligent enough. So their argument is simple. A louder voice does not necessarily mean a more important voice. And I get it and can share with you guys at home that yes, I have patients walking through my door complaining of this exact issue. So this concept resonates, and it will probably resonate with a lot of you watching today's video. So the big question is, how have they done this? Well, they're claiming to have battled this by not just presenting one isolated noise reduction feature, but by combining 3 separate technologies coordinated automatically by their new AI platform. The first is designed to understand your environment, the second then decides upon the most appropriate tools to use, and then finally the last one applies stronger support to the conversations that you're most likely to want to follow. Of course, this all sounds fantastic in theory, but let's wade through that marketing hype and see exactly what they mean by this. So ReSound's flagship acoustic feature is effectively the control system behind Intelligent All Around, its automatic program. It's designed to analyze your environment and your acoustic environment, and decide how much support to apply. In quiet, it prioritizes sound quality and awareness of sounds around you. In moderately complex noise, it provides directionality on one ear and an omnidirectional response in the other, helping the brain use whichever ear offers the best signal-to-noise ratio. And then finally, in the most complex noise, acoustic will automatically combine ReSound's 4-microphone beamforming technology with its DNN-based intelligent noise tracker. And those 2 technologies together are what ReSound calls intelligent focus, with their users reporting an 89% preference for intelligent focus over ReSound's legacy noise reduction technology. And then to preserve sound quality further still, when this directionality is active, the hearing aids will maintain an omnidirectional response in the lower frequencies, with the aim to preserve richer sound quality and make transitions between processing modes a lot less noticeable. What does that mean in English? From your perspective, that should mean a far more natural listening experience, even in the presence of background noise. So again, this all sounds great, but what does the research show? 88%? It's a big number, isn't it? 88%. Well, this is ReSound's first headline number, and in fact, before I get into their numbers, I have to share that all of this data has come from ReSound, and today's video is a launch video where I share all of the wonderful things that manufacturers say about their new technology, along with some of my initial thoughts on it. As soon as I've fitted them to some of my patients' ears and have some real-world feedback, I will share my full review here on the Hearing Tracker YouTube channel. So make sure that you hit subscribe, shameless plug here, so make sure you hit subscribe so that it appears on your YouTube home screen when it's ready. So back to the data now. ReSound's research shows that in lab tests, acoustic showed 88% greater accuracy in engaging directionality and gain-related features than the best performing system amongst all 5 other hearing aid manufacturers, and their premium technology too this is. And this particular study is more useful than a simple classifier test, identifying which environment the hearing aids think they're in. That's the easy part, and technically, ReSound's previous sound classifier reached 91% overall accuracy. But ReSound are trying to prove that the whole point of this tech is that a hearing aid can label an environment correctly, but still activate the wrong settings. And so this new study looked at what the hearing aids actually did. And like I said, this wasn't just against 1 or 2 hearing aids, but against the latest 5 premium hearing aids from all other manufacturers. Their researchers used 8 sound scenes across 3 different categories: voices in quiet, speech in noise, and noise without speech. After allowing the devices to adapt, they measured whether directionality and gain-related features changed in the way that researchers would expect. And I think you can guess what I'm going to share now. Acoustic reached 100% accuracy in all 3 sound scene categories, which overall was reported as being 88% better than their closest competitor. 88%. Now, I will caveat this by saying that the study needs context. This was a bench study with no human participants, and ReSound technically set the criteria for what counted as appropriate behaviour, and the competitor brands were anonymised. So it shows that Sensia's automatic control behaved consistently in the test setup. However, it doesn't show by itself, or it doesn't prove by itself, that every hearing aid wearer will understand more speech in every real environment. And that's exactly why they took it one step further with their listener research. So when I first read that data, I thought to myself, yes, this is fantastic, but there are a few flaws if that's their only research. But then boom, they threw 2 other studies at me just to keep me quiet. The first showed that in a blinded comparison involving 20 experienced hearing aid users, a target male voice was directly in front at 65 decibels, whilst a female distractor at the side was 5 decibels louder. 16 of the participants, so that's 80% of the group, experienced better hearing audibility of the target talker when they were wearing Sensia, compared to 4 participants, which is 20%, with another brand. And then in a separate 24-person study, when the talkers were presented at equal levels, the front talker was judged most audible in a median 54% of conditions with intelligent focus, compared with 38% for an alternative premium hearing aid. However, there's always a however, isn't there? I will say that the more revealing result came when the front talker was softer than the competing talkers, as that front voice remained most audible in 31% of conditions when intelligent focus was enabled, compared with just 4% with a competitor's hearing aid, suggesting that their combination of denoising and directionality can preserve selective attention, helping you to stay with the person you're looking at instead of being pulled towards whoever happens to be loudest. So I'm going to reiterate this. There is no question that this technology sounds strong, but for clarity, there are limitations to the research, as I mentioned before. These materials were supplied by ReSound, and the competing products remain anonymous. Whilst one study was conducted at GN's own facilities, GN say that their other intended talker testing involved independent researchers at Hornstum Oldenburg. I don't know if I've said that correctly. So it's a research facility. So the evidence is encouraging, but broader independent and real-world testing is still super important. And I'm not just saying this about ReSound. I say this in every video for every manufacturer when research comes from those guys. Now, it is pretty rare these days for a manufacturer to release a brand new family of hearing aids in a range of different styles, all on launch day. But ReSound haven't stuck to the rules here and have gone and released an unusually broad range of options on day one, including a rechargeable micro RIE, which they claim is the smallest AI hearing aid out there, 2 RIE disposable battery models, one using a size 312 and the other using a size 13 zinc air battery, a non-wireless CIC, a wireless CIC, and rechargeable ITC and ITE custom devices. With each of those rechargeable models, they're claiming that their DNN denoising is 17 times more efficient than the solution used by other leading brands. And that efficiency allows all of their rechargeable hearing aids to still work with denoising active the majority of the time and deliver 24 hours of battery life. Now, I did promise you the small print at the beginning of today's video, and that I shall deliver. Now, from what I know, and this is only from what I know, ReSound have only confirmed that the intelligent all-around feature is built into their top technology tier in the Sensia Micro RE. It doesn't confirm, or they haven't confirmed, that that flagship feature is available in other styles or other technology levels too. So if anybody from ReSound is watching this video, I'm watching you. Are you watching me? I would love for you to provide some clarity on this in the comments beneath today's video. It would be really helpful for anybody watching today. So the million-dollar question is, should you buy them? Well, I would recommend considering Sensia if competing speech is your biggest problem, you normally face the person you want to hear, or you want advanced noise support to engage automatically. But I would consider comparing carefully if your conversations regularly move between people positioned around you, you want a custom style or lower technology level and expect the complete intelligence all-around feature set, or you need confirmed details about Bluetooth, telecoil or Auracast. And then finally, I would wait for the full review if you want real-world patient results rather than lab evidence, or your current hearing aids already perform well in competing speech. So my early conclusion on this is that Sensia's most interesting development isn't simply another DNN. It's ReSound's attempt to coordinate classification, directionality and denoising automatically around the person that you're most likely trying to hear. There is no question that the lab evidence is promising, but the technology level restrictions, missing connectivity details around Bluetooth, telecoil and Auracast, plus the absence of real-world patient results mean I'm not just quite ready to call it the best hearing aid of the year. Not just yet. Not until I've seen more data and more information. And I don't think you should stop your research just yet, at least not until you've watched this video covering the best tech for this year.